Why do people create labyrinths? It requires forethought, planning, and time. This is not something you can complete in an afternoon, and there is no obvious, tangible reward other than finishing it. While my first encounter with the word labyrinth was via Jim Henson's movie starring David Bowie and a cast of Muppets, the first significant labyrinth is the one from mythology. The king of Crete has the artificer Daedalus build him one to keep the Minotaur imprisoned. An artificer is someone who is a skilled craftsman or inventor. Daedalus is both. In March of 2020, just a couple of days after everything shut down, my husband William and I went for a walk in the woods near where we live and came by a curious pattern, which turned out to be a labyrinth. We walked up a pathway which seemed out of use, but we wanted to see where it would lead. We ran into this woman working on some bamboo and wearing ear pods. We felt a bit awkward at first, but she caught sight of us. She explained to us that she was cutting bamboo to make some kind of fence, and she said that she's one of the homeowners that helped build stuff on the trails back there. Then she told us if we followed the specific path, we would find a labyrinth. That is what she was making the fence for. She mentioned that she believed the design was Buddhist, and that it was supposed to be spiritually centering. When we went to the labyrinth, I didn't walk it. William did. I thought it would take me too long to find the center, and we were already in an area of the woods that we were unfamiliar with. This time, I'm going to walk it. It feels surprising that I haven't been back to this hidden spot in the woods in almost 2 years. I've taken plenty of walks here, but I wasn't exactly sure how to get back. I didn't look into it until now, and it wasn't that hard to find, but it seems like the odds of finding it by chance are low. Because it is hidden, there is a sort of magical quality about it, like it came from a storybook for children. It felt meditative and quieting to walk it, staring at the ridges of the path as I took my steps. The labyrinth itself took me to its center, where there was a change from my last visit. Last time, there were some rocks and a piece of wood at the end of the path. But now, someone had built small rock statues reminiscent of Stonehenge. This added to the otherworldly feeling of being there. We walked around the woods for a while after going back to the curious pattern that started all of this. I did some Googling to see if other people had discovered this secret of the forest. Maybe there would be an article about it on a local website. No luck on that account, but the labyrinth did lead me somewhere interesting. I found out that there were 2 more labyrinths nearby. I'm going to find them and walk them too. The second labyrinth was easy to find. It's at a local nature preserve and looks well cared for. From this labyrinth, we were close enough to the road to hear and see traffic, but when you walk it, the traffic fades away. You're right up against modern civilization, but you don't feel that way. While walking this one, I noticed that there were some rocks that made up the path that had gotten knocked out of place. I began to slow my pace and put them back where they belonged. It felt good to fix up the labyrinth and connect with its creators in this way. As I bent down, I also realized that many of these rocks had drawings and writings on them. Some were faded or abstract, while others were clearer and more concrete. They led up to the one at the center that read, "All things come from nature." I cannot find the origin of this quote, but I don't know who made this winding path either. We don't need to understand these things to appreciate them. The third labyrinth was by far the hardest to find. It wasn't in the woods like we expected, but was off of a parking lot. It was nestled behind theological seminary housing. However, it did not appear to be overtly religious in its nature or purpose. Initially, I felt a simultaneous mixture of being underwhelmed and being overwhelmed. It felt almost abandoned, though I did remember that the students were on winter break, and this was not as bleak as it may have initially appeared. The size of this creation was startling, and in addition to taking the longest to find, it also took the longest to walk. There was landscape fabric carefully laid down below the wood chips that lined the path. The students who made this must have put the tarp down to stop grass from popping through. They've mostly been successful, but there is some small grass growing, and even some sort of shrub that has popped up. There was nothing in the center of this labyrinth, which I had falsely come to expect. Maybe the small shrub, reclaiming the labyrinth in the name of nature, was my reward. There is a line from Ovid's Metamorphoses about Daedalus, which roughly translates to, "And he casts his mind upon arts yet unknown, and makes nature new." The labyrinths that I found were all created by people who were making nature new. The walls of their creations were lined with stones and packed down with dirt, wood chips, and footsteps. They were built for people to take a couple of minutes to slow down and take in the nature around them. As the great artificer has taught me, there is something within us all that wants to create.